From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning on early mornings in LALATE as that fourth stimulus check is heading to the finish line. Four stimulus checks are those monthly stimulus checks that could happen as early as July, a stimulus check every month all the way through at least December. $2,000 or $1,400, the biggest single payout you've seen for this channel. In this recording, we're going to go over the big four items that happened this week that are getting four stimulus to the finish line. Meantime, the SSI reform, it's happening. It's the single biggest change for SSI since 1962. It would raise your benefits across the board. I have a big update on that as well. Meantime, what's happening with student loan debt forgiveness, the business grants, and what about rent, utilities, and food? Also, what's happening with fifth stimulus. And then that big shocker that came out of nowhere late Saturday that's going to be unveiled this Wednesday from the President of the United States. It's a shocker that's leaving a lot of people surprised and a lot of people confused. I'll be going over all those details as well. I'll also be going over the anticipation of what Wall Street is going to see coming into the new day, this coming Monday, and what I anticipate for the reactions across the board. It's a big morning. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and let's get to it. This is Early Mornings LALATE. Good morning, everybody. The toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here, and I'm so excited for you to join me on a Sunday morning. Congratulations. It's our 1-year anniversary birthday today, April 25th. Wow, we made it. Really excited for you to be upon this journey. If you're a new member, if you're a new subscriber, a new viewer, thank you for joining the most successful channel in the history, really, of this space. And wow, 1-year anniversary today. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. 400,000 subscribers almost in 1 year. Just incredible. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. So much happening in this recording. I'll be going the fourth stimulus check, those monthly stimulus checks, the third stimulus check, the fifth stimulus check, and that big shocker that left everyone speechless yesterday. If you didn't hear it, I'll be detailing it coming up later in this video. You gotta stay to the end. You're gonna just be really, really shocked by it. All right, let's get to the big breaking details. Four stimulus checks are happening because we got not one, but four incredible push last week, and I have some more push coming this week for why four stimulus will get out the door. Four stimulus check is that big single monthly payment of a check every month until at least December under the four stimulus package. It's the infrastructure bill, the American Jobs Plan, or the Recovery Act. Four stimulus. And those monthly stimulus checks would start in July. First, let me go over the amount of them, and then I'm going to go over why there was four incredible great news this week and what that great news meant for you and those stimulus checks. Remember, these are monthly stimulus checks, and that getting them done sooner rather than later is the big important detail. The House members want to give you a stimulus check every month for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. The senators want to give you a stimulus check from July to December. The House members are progressives. The senators are elder statesmen, but they have a lot of other items they also want to put into the stimulus package in addition to your stimulus checks. Those are coming up later in this recording. The House members want to pay you $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000. The senators, the monthly amount they have not said on the record, but word on the street is it's this. Word on the street is the senators want to pay you $2,000 a month over 6 months, which would be $12,000. Or $1,400 a month over 6 months, which is $8,400. This is the single biggest payout that has ever happened for viewers of this channel, and the likelihood is very high. This is you if you got a third stimulus check. If you make less than $75,000 or less, household 4 or less, or if you're on SSI or SSDI, Social Security or Railroad benefits, this is you. Now let me cut back to the timing, how, when, and by what means. First, when? July. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer both confirmed the vote would be in July, around July 4th. Second, when would the first check go out? In July. For what month? July. What would be the next month? August. Because August comes after July. Even with Larry Kudlow, it comes after July. It would be a monthly check every month thereafter. Would it count towards income? No. Stimulus checks are not income. It's not a taxable event. Would it trigger disqualification of benefits? No, absolutely not. And how would we physically get it? I think, this is my conjecture, that it would come by that debit card that Senator Harris and Senator Sanders proposed in 2020 that would be replenished every month thereafter. Incredible, great news. Now you know the amount. Let's go over the breaking, developing details about why it's happening. 4 events happened last week, and more are happening in just later this starting week. I have those details coming up that are giving the push for those stimulus checks. Number 1, lack of bipartisan support. Number 2, economic data. Number 3, Federal Reserve, and finally, corporate earnings. All right, let's go over the first one. GOP reaction, yes. So there will not be bipartisan support, hence it has to go to recon. And reconciliation is the process that gives you a stimulus check. The Republicans had told the president several weeks ago they would do no $2 trillion, no climate, and they would do $600 to $800 billion for infrastructure. Well, after 3 weeks of negotiations, they pull back. And they're not even offering that. Now it's no $2 trillion, no climate, and instead $500 billion. So the president has to go by reconciliation, and that gets you monthly stimulus checks. Second, economic data last week came in not at a growth rate faster than the week before, meaning we're getting those stimulus checks. Remember, the current growth rate had been a recovery of this economy in December. Well, with a bill in July, we're fine. But there was worries that the growth rate was accelerating exponentially and we could be recovered in July. We no longer have those worries. Why? Because 2 weeks ago, the number of jobless claims came in 250,000 lower than the week before. There was concern that this Thursday we're going to do that again and come in at 500,000 or 250. Well, we didn't. We stayed relatively the same. With 16 million Americans unemployed long-term and 8 million jobs missing, the economy is rebounding, but not at a growth rate faster than anticipated. And then finally, the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is set to talk next week, but in advance of those talks, Wall Street says that Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve, will not change Fed policies. They will continue to support the economy, which means stimulus checks are coming. What is the other big news that's supporting stimulus check? Corporate earnings are coming out this coming week, and I have a little bit of the preview of what those corporate earnings say. They potentially don't show any more recovery or faster rate of recovery than we are currently. So what should we anticipate next week? Let me go over each of the days. First, let me go over a few of the early days. On Monday, Tesla will report earnings, and what does Jim Cramer say? These numbers impact more than just Tesla itself, it's electric vehicles. I'm betting on the quarter will be a good one. So Cramer says good, but not incredibly good. Then on Tuesday, we see Alphabet, Microsoft, and Starbucks report. Of Alphabet, he says, I think Google Cloud could steal the show. I like it very much. Microsoft, he says, their stock's been on a run. So they need to post a monster quarter with huge Azure numbers. The funny thing is, I think they probably will do it. I'll stay with it. And then as a Starbucks, he says Starbucks has had a monster run over the past year. I'm looking for a pullback. Okay, so a pullback is not an exponential growth rate. That means that at least from those corporate earnings projections for next week, we're not rebounding any faster. Now, there was incredible great news this last week, and the incredible news continues next week with SSI reform. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans have not seen the reform to their system since the 1960s, and now it's happening. When? Not under forced stimulus, but in the actions that are happening in September, called fifth stimulus, or the American Family Plan. And those Democrats wanted to go into the fifth stimulus, SSI reform. Those Democrats this week, House and senators, wrote that letter to the president demanding massive SSI reform. It's absolutely incredible. I'm going to go over all the details of it first, and then I'll go over the specifics. Benefit levels will be increased, asset limits will be raised, inflationary benchmarks will be applied, and then there will be no income exclusion, no marriage penalty. All right, let me explain what that means. It's all very easy to follow. First, your benefits. Your benefit monthly check amount would be taken from here and lifted up to a big, new, beautiful number. That will be your new number. That will be your new number going forward. Second, every year your benefits are assessed to a benchmark of COLA. And COLA doesn't move, so your benefits don't move. That's going to change. They're going to tie your benefits to inflation. And inflation always increases about 1% to 4%. The Federal Reserve and myself are estimating a 2 to 3% inflationary growth rate over the next 3 years. So that means your benefits will increase about 2 to 3% every year thereafter over the next few years. Great news. Third, asset allocation gone. From the 1984, you can't keep more than $3,000 on hold for some of these benefits. They're going to throw away that 1984 rule. Next, this is the one that's really exciting. If you like to work, you don't have to work, but if you like to work, they have been restricting you from working based upon a 1962 law, which they are going to throw out. They're going to say, if you want to go work, you can work up to about $1,000 or $2,000 a month, $12,000 to $24,000 a year, and still stay on benefits. Finally, they're going to get rid of the marriage penalty. To which you're going to ask me when, how, and how will this work? So this is fifth stimulus. This is coming in September, and fifth stimulus would start in September, and it would take about 2 months. So it's a recon position again, a reconciliation. So I think the first check you'll see the benefits impact is about the second to last month of the year. Incredible, great news. Again, that's fifth stimulus coming this fall, and it's part of the president's agenda. Now, also heating up is that wealth tax. The wealth tax from Elizabeth Warren is that tax on billionaires and trillionaires. And that wealth tax gets incredible push next week as Elizabeth Warren has a congressional hearing to discuss the wealth tax. Remember, wealth tax is different than what I just discussed. Wealth tax is what she proposed to pay for SS $200 a month. And it's really incredible. Now, could SS 200 get in the fourth stimulus, slide it in by amendment? Sure, it could. Could the wealth tax slide in? I don't know. It's a little bit more polarizing. Remember, it's incredible, great news that she's having a big congressional hearing on that next week. But what's happening on Wednesday that the president's about to announce that I am scared about, that viewers are shocked and horrified about, that it's really just coming out of nowhere? That's coming up later in this broadcast. Stay with me. That is coming up. But what else could slide into fourth stimulus? I think Ron Wyden's provision could. Ron Wyden has a standalone bill to provide $250 a week for 6 months for PUA recipients. I think he can slide it into the fourth stimulus. Remember, the fourth stimulus vote is in July. Then Congress goes on vacation to September. What happens between that time? A lot of things are expiring. PUA, FPUC, PEUA. PEUC, FPUC, and PUA are expiring, along with a student loan mortgage forbearance and things like that, eviction moratorium. So his proposal is to provide a PUA replacement and have it take effect so that it takes coverage for those that are losing benefits in September. Great idea across the board. Meantime, what else is happening with student loan debt forgiveness, those business grants, the mortgage and rent money? And then what's happening with this big shocker that's coming from the president this Wednesday? Oh boy, you're going to want to stay with me because you're going to be shocked. I am shocked as well. And I'll have all those details right after this commercial break. Stay with me as Early Mornings LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. home. LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues on LALATE at Mornings LALATE today at 12 noon. That'll be a big show. I'll be live, and I look forward to seeing you. Join me on that show. Then we go to noontime. 2 hours after that, it's an easy breezy schedule. A new show every 2 hours. Then afternoons LALATE, 2 hours after that, I'm live again. And then we go into our evening schedule. Afternoons at 6, that big hit show. Then evenings LALATE at 8, and then LA Late Night. That irreverent show with Sirloin and Javita Late. How are you? The toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It's our 1 year anniversary today. Happy birthday, LALATE. So make sure you subscribe. Be part of this family trying to get to 400,000 subscribers. We're very close. Let's do it. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. The link's at the top of the chat and the pinned comment. Coming up later in this recording, I'm going to be going over the big developing details about student loan debt forgiveness, the business grants, the money for rent and utilities, and more. And then that shocker from the president that's leaving people speechless. All right, let's first go over the student loan debt forgiveness. The student loan debt forgiveness has been forgotten, not funny, by Miguel Cardona. And now my coverage of it every 10 minutes on this channel has been picked up by broadcast media. They're now running the story saying, where is the letter? The letter is now 1 to 2 weeks late. It was supposed to detail whether the president can forgive student loan debt forgiveness by executive order. He can. Obama did it. Trump did it. And we have yet to see it. But a new poll gives us incredible data of support. When asked by congressional leaders, those responding, over 50% supported it, and the other 50% said they would support some amount, but not $50,000. Great news across the board. That's a lot of support for it. Then the rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage assistance, a lot of those items have yet to land under the third stimulus. Those are late, and they're coming in May. Also, what's coming in May, hopefully, is the restaurant grant. The shuttered venue grant from SBA did not go live yesterday. It's delayed until next week. And then the EIDL grant of $5,000, we have yet to hear word about that. Meantime, the remainder of the $10,000 grant is being paid. Next week, we're going to see a lot of big other data that'll tell us if earnings are showing robust growth or just the same rate of growth. Remember, if the growth is too strong, then that means that stimulus may be in jeopardy. But so far, Jim Cramer's estimates for next week show growth, but not out of control growth. On Wednesday, Boeing, Apple, Ford, and Facebook, sorry for the typo on Facebook, report corporate earnings for Q1 2021. For Boeing, he says, if you're like me, we could be heading into an unprecedented economic boom, like the biggest travel onslaught in history, then you want to be leveraged to that, and that's Boeing. I agree. Apple, he says the stock is lagging. There could be a potential inroad for the enterprise. So he's not very bullish on Apple. Ford, he says, I anticipate excellent numbers. So he likes that one. And then Facebook, what does he say on Facebook? Judging from what we heard from Snap last night, I think you have to believe that Facebook is going to knock it out of the park. It's not too late to be a buyer, Facebook, he says. Wow, so those are great new numbers. And then for Amazon, he says, I think the stock still works. Wow. He says the stock's been treading water for months because people are worried about the year-over-year comparisons, but I still like it. Good news. And then we go into Friday, Exxon, Chevron, Clorox, and Colgate report. Well, as of Chevron, he says, when I listen to the oil people, they say that the companies could surprise to the upside. Ooh, good news there. But then for Clorox, he says, at the best, it's a battlefield stock, and there's no reason to go near a battlefield stock, not in this pandemic. Oh boy. So he's saying not one of his choices. Interesting. So nothing particularly too overly exciting that would suggest that we're going to recover by July. Remember, there's 16 million jobs missing, and there is 8 million jobs missing and 16 million Americans unemployed. So at this point, it doesn't look like we have a fear of full economic recovery by July. Looks like December. Fourth stimulus is going to happen. So what is that big shocker that left everyone speechless, and a lot of viewers very angry, and a lot of people just dumbfounded? Let me tell you what it is. And it takes a few different items to tell you about it. This Wednesday, the President of the United States will make an announcement. First, let me tell you what the announcement is about, because that has a whole issue unto itself, and then I'll go into the specifics. The announcement on Wednesday will be the fifth stimulus package. Now, before I even go to the substance, I have an issue about even going to the fifth stimulus package for presidential announcement. He's not going to debut a bill. He's just going to talk about it. The bill will never be written until it goes to recon in about October, November. But why are we talking about fifth stimulus from this president now? This makes no sense to me. Third stimulus, rent, utilities, mortgage, EIDL grant, restaurant grant, shutter venue grant. The money has not gone live. You're running the federal government, get the money out from third stimulus, and then we can talk about something else. Why are we talking about fifth stimulus? You haven't gotten the third stimulus money out the door. I'm happy talking about fourth stimulus because it has to start. It has to start recon now. But don't start fifth stimulus. You haven't sent out the money from third stimulus yet. And it's the federal government that hasn't sent out the money from third stimulus. As the president promised, it doesn't mean sense to make laws if you don't send out the money. Send out the money for third stimulus. Then we can talk about fifth stimulus. That's the first issue I have at hand. The second issue I have at hand about talking about fifth stimulus is that you haven't started formally fourth stimulus. The fourth stimulus has not started recon. It doesn't have a bill. No one has written anything. And when press asks for details about the items, we're told, still thinking about it. But why are we talking about something else, fifth stimulus? Now, here's what you need to know, is that it's starting to look a little bit like a dog and pony show. Fourth stimulus is very vague, and fifth stimulus is starting to become very vague. A lot of backdrop, a lot of talking about how America the beautiful and the moon and going to the sky and drink some clear water and the clear sky. Give me some specifics. In the case of fourth stimulus, the president has been asked, the press secretary has been asked, what about this, what about this? And they always say, we don't know yet. So why are we going to a fifth stimulus if we don't even know what we're doing with fourth stimulus? To which then we get to the worst news. The worst news for fifth stimulus is this. On Thursday, America was shocked and horrified that next year, in 2022, for the sixth stimulus package in next year, 2022, the president will raise capital gains tax from 20 to nearly 50%, a third world country amount. This Wednesday, the announcement will be that capital gains raise will happen in the fifth stimulus package in this September. Yes, big shocker. Really big shocker. And with that, that is not the crux of the problem. There may be an additional change to another tax item as well. Here is the problem across the board. When we look at fourth stimulus, we have seen the press secretary repeatedly asked, what are the tax items you're changing? What are the rates? And for who are you changing them from? And the White House has refused to give any specifics. There's no bill, there's no memo. It doesn't say this one, that one. All we have is political reports like Politico that says maybe it's inheritance tax because apparently the White House is considering inheritance tax. Maybe it's corporate tax. Maybe it's 22. Maybe it's 28. Maybe it's, we literally don't know. We don't know. And now we're going into fifth stimulus and we hear that capital gains is being touched. Now, what is capital gains? Capital gains tax means you buy a car, you resell a car, you make a profit, that's capital gains. You see a car, you see a chair at the swap meet and you sell it on eBay, make a $200 profit, that's capital gains. You buy a house and you resell it, that's capital gains. Taxing capital gains as people come out of the pandemic doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because people are financially not stable. Here's why taxing capital gains, even if it's not your tax bracket, could really cause economic disruption or market crashes. First, it could cause the housing market to crash. If you own a house and you see you're going to be in that capital gains hit, you will sell the house this year, not next year, to avoid the massive tax implications next year. Second, if you own shares of securities or crypto, you'll do the same. And guess what? That fear has already erupted. When you look at the US economy, a lot of activity is based upon anticipating the news before the news occurs, whether the news eventually happens or not. The mere fact that the president's considering this enormous raise of capital gains is causing the cryptocurrency to implode over the weekend, which is open 24/7. Crypto never closes, unlike Wall Street. So people are selling on fear of the event happening happening in September, when we don't even know if it will happen. That's what happens when people talk about things, but then when asked, are you doing capital gains? They don't answer. The president and his press secretary need to answer which taxes are being touched in fourth stimulus, which taxes are being touched in fifth stimulus, what bracket, how much, so that Wall Street and investors and middle America and working families know that there is a risk or there isn't a risk for them. If you can't gauge the risk, then you panic and you sell. And that panicking is not something we need in this economy. So that's why there's a lot of problems of what's happening. And I haven't gotten to the issue of what this is for. Why are we taxing things under the fifth stimulus? What is fifth stimulus besides SSI reform, which doesn't need taxes for? SSI reform is not being supported by taxes. So what is the president seeking to raise money for those taxes? Are you ready for this? Paying $24,000 of childcare for 17-year-olds to newborn. Yes, he's trying to raise the capital gains taxes to give $24,000 to 17-year-old to newborns over 5 years. If this sounds redundant, it is. Currently, you're waiting for that $3,600 for 17 to newborns coming in July this year, and to continue over the remainder of this year. $300 a month, $3,600 over the next year. Before they even get their first check of $300, the president's coming back and saying, I want to do it for 5 more years and give them upwards of $24,000. And I want to capital gains tax other people to pay for that. Why? Why? We still haven't even seen the impact of the first check, and the first check hasn't even landed. That's putting the cart before the horse. A lot of people are having problems with this. Also at issue is that there's reports that Wednesday's announcement will also be increasing taxes on lots of personal tax brackets. Now, this is different than Elizabeth Warren. She seeks to raise the capital gains tax, the taxes on billionaires and trillionaires, not the president. He's going very, very low on his tax brackets. To which we go back to the same message: who, where, how much, and more importantly, why. What is this money being used for? And why do we need to use this money? Why do we need to give $24,000 to 17 to newborns? Ultimately, you need to remember this, that when we talk about those multiple stimulus checks, the president is not talking about taxing to raise money for stimulus checks. When we're talking about the SSI reform, the president's not talking about taxes for SSI reform. The president's talking about taxes for climate, talking about taxes to pay for children 17 and newborn, and a lot of people aren't agreeing about that message. Here's what the president needs to do quickly, and certainly, is that he needs to come clean with what items he's taxing, when he's taxing them, and for what stimulus packages. Moreover, he needs to explain how much money this will raise. When you don't say what you're taxing, and no one knows how much that money that raises, and when we don't know how much money it's raising, we don't know why it's needed. Ultimately, Americans are smart. We know how things work, and we deserve to know the complete story. In 2020, one of the number one issues that I always would cover was lack of clarity from Nancy Pelosi of any numbers. I used to always talk about how Nancy Pelosi wouldn't tell us numbers. She would talk about children and the earth and the air and the sky. But where were the numbers? And I always say, where are the numbers? What were the numbers? I remember the day where she had the purple poster and there was no numbers on them. And Steve Mnuchin said, where are her numbers? I'm giving her the numbers. Why won't she talk about numbers? My concern now with the White House going into fourth stimulus is we only hear about the moon and the railroads and the internet, but we never hear numbers. And now we're starting fifth stimulus, and again, we don't hear about numbers, but we do hear about taxes. Ultimately, America needs to know this. Here's what you need to know. As this lack of information continues, Wall Street, middle America, Working families will continue to fear the uncertainty until they're told. Americans need to know how much taxes, which taxes, and where. And if they don't know, then the fear of not knowing may cause more market uncertainty when we're just trying to rebound as an economy. Lack of uncertainty is what is called inability to gauge risk. And when you can't gauge risk, you do things that you may not normally have to do. And with that, thank you for joining me on a big morning's broadcast. I'll have more about this at 9 o'clock on the West Coast, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time as Mornings LA continues. I hope you join me. And I hope you understand the importance of staying in fact with details and facts. Mornings LA returns at 12 noon, followed by noontime. Then we're back at Afternoons LA, 2 hours after that. And then our big afternoons programming, 6 p.m., 8 p.m., and 10 p.m. It's a great day. It's our 1 year anniversary, and I'm so excited for you to have joined me. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling, and have a beautiful Sunday. And stay of LA.